All right. Hi, my name is Junko Yoshida. I'm the editor-in-chief of Junko's Tech Probe, and I'm here today with two analysts from Yole Group, Lorenz and Pierre Cambou. So today's topic is AI boom. Everybody's talking about it. We are seeing the AI boom. It's real, but is that the AI bubble? So before I get to that question, first, actually, I need John's help to break down building blocks of what makes the AI boom today from the semiconductor industry point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Junko. So, what we're seeing in the industry right now is it's somewhat unprecedented. We look at the AI companies like OpenAI, xAI, Anthropic, and then these other companies that are AI enablers, or they have their own AI projects, such as Meta, Google, Microsoft. All these companies are funneling massive investments into their own capacities, or in securing capacities that they can use or sell to their customers. And really, to make that possible, you need the confluence of a few things. You need the hardware, of course, the compute and memory hardware coming to install into data centers. You need the power to run all of these very power-hungry data centers, and of course, you need the full investment to make it possible, because these companies by themselves, maybe they don't have all the cash to do this. So there's other investors involved in all this, and in the end, those investors, in a normal environment, those investors also expect to see some return. So we have these four regions that cause us to pause, some areas of concern within this dynamic where yes, so today the hardware is able to come to satisfy this demand to an extent. One piece I would call out is that in DRAM, for example, there's such strong demand for DRAM for AI servers that DRAM suppliers are diverting their focus to supply this. It's a very profitable business for them. It makes sense, but what that's leaving aside and making some trouble for perhaps PC OEMs or other sectors that require DRAM, they may have trouble procuring what they need for their next years of projects and build out. On the other side, we have power as an area of question. Right now, there's enough power coming online to keep up with this, but we already see, I think in November, we had the CEO of Microsoft saying, yeah, one problem they have is they have GPUs that are sitting in inventory right now because they don't yet have the power needed to plug them in and run them. So already that's some bit of concern. And on the side of investment and return on investment, we've seen somewhat of a plateau in the stock market, which tells us that the enthusiasm there is maybe reaching I guess a plateau is the word I used. I will use it again.
I think the semiconductor industry is concerned about how long the investors' interest or enthusiasm over the AI boom lasts, right? Tell us about this interaction between where the investors' enthusiasm starts to wane. What impact would that have on the semiconductor industry?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long train from investing in AI companies to then investing in the chip providers who will supply the AI companies, and then investing in the memory companies to supply the HBM, which goes into the GPUs and the accelerators that then satisfy the end AI demand. There's a lot of cash flowing around and all of that. For us, the memory companies have done a good job so far to not overbuild for the current demand, of course. What's working in their favor is that to produce HBM requires more area of silicon. It's a more difficult process, and it's a stacked solution. So there's other chances for yield fallout. And what you end up with is you need to start 3 to 4 times as many wafers on HBM to receive the same gigabit output as you do on DDR5, for instance. That dynamic means that if they want to transfer production to HBM, they're taking more supply off the table for other activities.
This is the consequence. If already the investors, they lose confidence with the market, what would be the consequence on memory players, for example? It's their ability to invest, for sure. And so that could be one consequence of a loss of confidence from the investors. But it could be the other way around. Let's say the demand for AI pause for any reason, like we said, we are not able to construct the data centers at the speed. If the demand for AI chip pauses, then the next quarter of NVIDIA might not be as nice as it was last quarter. The last delivery was perfect, but at some point it might not be that perfect. And then we will have, as a consequence, a loss of confidence for the investors. So it can work both ways. And we see today this tension building.
Right. No, that's a very good point. Before we get to larger picture, I just want to clarify one thing, that when we talk about the speed of GPU delivery outpaces the speed of AI data center constructions. Can you educate me that how big the gap is and how concerned should we be about that?
Typically, what we see today is this idea that we have 100 gigawatt to be delivered by 2030. So if you do a quick math, this is about 5 years, 100 gigawatt. This is 20 gigawatt per year.
Right.
And as a rule of thumb, 20 gigawatt is 20 nuclear reactor.
Wow.
And so, yeah, maybe 1 year is fine. There's a little slack in the power grid. Yeah, okay, we can do it. But then to do it consistently, I'm not even sure we've installed 20 gigawatt of data centers in 25. I think we will have to do the math. But John, maybe you know.
It's close to that. Yes,
it's close to that. So it was okay this year.
We expect just about 20. Yeah. So
so doing it consistently is going to be a problem. If we expect that the AI boom to continue, we have to have the consistent investment in data centers and make sure that the power is available for each data center.
Exactly. As far as the semiconductor industry is concerned, also we will see some gap into this 20 gigawatt per year expectancy, and even larger, because I think there is some forecast that wish to increase the speed of installation. And so by the end of next year, we should see a significant, so let's say more than 10% from expectation occurring. And then what will be the consequence on the stock market? We don't know.
And like NVIDIA talked about having in the pipe 7 million GPU packages. And this is an astounding number, but if we translate that into dies and ultimately power, that we're talking about, if it's Blackwell based, that's 14 million GPU dies, and we're roughly getting close to about this 20 gigawatts of power needed to run those, close to, I think we talked about 100,000 racks of compute. So it's a huge number, but that's just talking about what NVIDIA is referring to. And NVIDIA, yes, they're the biggest, but there's also there's AMD is still important in this space, and then all of the cloud service providers have their own AI ASIC projects that are power hungry, like a GPU, using HBM to do their own acceleration, like Google TPU or AWS Trainium, or Meta has their project too.
All right, so I'm gonna again go back to Pierre and talk about the trajectory of the current AI boom. Is this anything like the trajectory we saw in .com boom?
Thank you for the question. I think this is really spot on. The thing we should consider is the large differences we see in respect to the industry. Again, we want to look from a Yole's perspective. Okay, what was the industry like in the 2000s, and what is the industry in 25? So today, much of the effort is concentrated with 8 companies and their supply chain. And even the semiconductor is super concentrated, TSMC, the few memory companies, and a few OSAT supplying the advanced packaging, supporting the AI booms. It's not just, it used to be many startups, myriads of startups. And what differentiates from the past also is the fact that there is a perfect alignment with the US administration, and it's not only the one of today. The Biden administration had also strong support, and so this perfect alignment of the Trump administration with this investment super focused on AI makes it very, very different. And as an industry analyst, we need to take into account this is not solely a demand and supply equilibrium into a free market. There is a lot of involvement into geopolitical aspects, and yes, maybe the stock exchange also has some contribution, but I think it is super important to notice that we are more like in a economy of war, supported by government policies, and we've never seen before. So any reference to the past, like .com bubble, feel irrelevant in my point of view.
So what does it mean? Are you saying that the .com bubble, the bubble did burst, right? And now we're not exactly the market-led upward trajectory. Well, are you saying that this is going to continue?
I think we need a clear definition of a bubble burst.
Okay.
What kind of bubble are we talking about? As a Yole market research company, we want to discuss the status of the industry and what kind of revenue it will make. And so this is the kind of boom and burst we discuss. And then there is the market side and the investors side that may have could be a consequence or a trigger to what will happen in the industry. But today, it's more than just in the stock market. It has also to do with geopolitical aspects. And here, so it means that, yes, the market, the stock exchange, the stock market could have a correction. There could be a correction, but in the same time, these investments and the support of especially the U.S. administration make us believe that anyway, even if there is a correction, the course of the investments will eventually pursue in the medium term.
Interesting. All right. Very good. That one more thing. Let's talk about the next 1 to 2 years, right? And you mentioned that there could be course correction in stock market side, but there could be a course correction within the semiconductor industry. Can you spell that out?
With the caveat that this is as Pierre mentioned, a wartime economy kind of environment. So it's some of the old rules we look for to expect the next cycle. They're slow to apply, or we can't apply them right away, that sort of thing. But if we consider how we see memory moving right now, our current forecast has DRAM TAM close to $200 billion next year. NAND will be close to $100 billion. Just these by themselves, if you boil it up to total semi, we're going to be pushing closer to $1 trillion. It'll be in that realm, but over the long history of this industry, when you get that much growth quickly, there tends to be a reset. Could be a reset as soon as 2027, 2028. Pierre, I think you have more thoughts on that, though.
Yeah, we had this 1 trillion by 2030 at current growth rate. So we are in the 22-23% year on year. So last year and this year's again, and we expect next year again. So 3 years in a row, we have 22-23%. This is far above any expectation. So eventually, if that's the course, yes, we will have to introduce some correction by 27. That's our mindset as of end of December 25. This is our mindset. We have not yet put this in our books, in our forecast, but that's the mindset we have end of this year to introduce some kind of a plateau or maybe a correction in 27, because the rate of growth we see of the industry is probably far quicker than the data centers, like the downstream build of compute capacity.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much for talking to me, and yeah, this would be interesting to watch. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Junko.
Thank you.